The 747 is a remarkably intelligent machine, but it still requires skilled pilots to fly it. And it's the high level of training which is one of the reasons why flying statistically remains so safe. Another reason is that the airline industry has learnt valuable lessons in rare accidents through an iconic component housed in the tail section of a plane.
Here they are, two black boxes. This on the right is the data recorder, records all the telemetry of the flight, and on the left is the voice recorder, which records all the pilots' voices.
The two black boxes are regularly tested at BA's avionics lab, where I met up with engineer John Davies.
This is a black box, but as you can see, it's not actually black, it's painted orange. And that's because it's clearly identified in any incident.
It's a big old tape recorder.
It is a big tape recorder. That's what basically it is. As you can see as well, the tape is actually surrounded by two thermal packs, which are chalk.
Spring-loaded as well?
Spring-loaded as well, yeah. With two thermal packs, which are chalk impregnated with water. So in the event of a fire, that water turns to steam, keeps then that tape at a steam temperature.
OK.
So it won't destroy the tape.
And what sort of temperature range is it specified to?
It should withstand 1,000 degrees C over a 30-minute period of time. That's where aviation fuel burns.
So the bit you're opening now, inside there, that is the precious cargo of...
This is the part they're interested in. It'll record the last 30 minutes of any flight.
It may look archaic, and new airliners have converted to digital, solid-state data storage, but tape still does the trick.
That could contain the most precious of information that will ultimately be fed back to make sure it never happens again.
Exactly, yes, which it has many times.
Yeah.
To comply with comprehensive safety legislation, all aircraft must work to strict maintenance schedules, including detailed tests every year and a complete overhaul every 6 years. At 14 years of age, Victor X-Ray could still have another 10 years of flying ahead of it, but there comes a time when a 747 is just too costly to keep maintaining. Then it's worth more as spare parts than a complete aircraft.
This is part of your flaps, part of the Kruger flaps.
Okay.
Mark Gregory is the boss of Air Salvage International.
We're obviously the largest dismantling company in the UK, in fact in Europe.
At Cotswold Airport in Gloucestershire, Mark and his team salvage over 40 aircraft a year.
These here, can we have a closer look at these?
Can you? They are 747 inboard landing gears removed from a 747-400. If it's done a huge amount of landings, then the value of that is kind of dropping. But I think this has done quite a lot of landings. But it's still, it's still not cheap.
Roughly how much then?
You're probably looking at about $300,000 for a set of landing gears like this.
On a 747, Mark will salvage up to 1,200 parts, which will eventually be sold to airlines around the world. Precision electronics means a second-hand coffee maker could fetch up to £3,000. Even a simple bowl for the toilet could sell for as much as £500.
These are the front screens off the 747. They've got very high value, and I would say probably about $30,000.
What, each?
For each screen, yeah. Because these ones here, obviously, they're heated. They're heated elements running through them. I think they're gold heating elements that go through them.
Well, OK, so in here now you've got... there's
They're
gold
very
running...
thick. They're really thick screens. They're laminated as well. You can just see the elements. In there.
Yeah, at the top, yeah.
A bit like your car heated front screen as well.
That hits home there. Yeah. The value of the whole industry now.
Yeah, it's massive, absolutely massive.
80% of the salvage value of an aircraft comes from its engines.
This is a 737 engine. This has probably got a resale value of about 1.2 million, I suppose.
Wow.
And going back, the bigger engines at the back, they're a little bit more.
Once all the valuable parts of the 747 have been removed, what's left of the aluminium shell will be tackled. And after almost 3 weeks, Victor X-Ray is now at a similar stage of its overhaul.
18 days ago, this plane was flying passengers around the world. And today, what it looks like inside is a far cry from what it would have been then.
In this skeletal state, there are signs of the 747's evolution.
We're right at the very front of the aircraft here, and above us is the flight deck. And just looking around, even in a plane as modern as the 747, it's surprising to see how much mechanical equipment there is, as well as obviously all the electronics.
Victor X-Ray still uses the Jumbo's original cable and pulley system to control some of the aircraft's most important functions, including the landing gear doors and the rudder.
And then finally, right at the back here, hopefully, yeah, you see the cables heading off through the cabin and off to the rudder. Keeping it mechanical, keeping it simple. Ah, the flight deck. Looks a lot different now without the seats and all the flight instruments.
The Cardiff team now have a tight deadline to turn Victor X-Ray back into a fully working plane. It's booked to go back into service in just over 2 weeks, on the same day the complex process is due to finish. But when a 747 has come to the end of its working life, like this one at Cotswold Airport, there's no turning back for Mark Gregory and his salvage team.
We've removed over 130 tonnes of equipment, and all we're left with is now 100 tonnes of aircraft, which has got very little value because the only value that's there is the metal.
At this point, the final part of the demolition process can begin.
So we'll take the tail off first, chew the tail up. And then we'll work forward. And the airboard of the wings into the fuselage. And then through the rest of the body then. It doesn't take very long. It's about 3 days to do a 747.
It really is all the guts and the veins and everything just being pulled out of the whole machine. Look at that.
Very soon, this 747 is nothing more than a heap of scrap metal.
So this is £200 million worth of plane reduced to probably the most expensive pile of scrap I've ever seen in my life.
Only a few recognisable fragments of the aircraft remain.
So this is a leading edge, and this is...
That's aluminium. Well, there you go, you can see it here.
Yeah.
It's thin, but pretty...
Takes some battery though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty durable.
Then as the wing moves back, it doesn't need to be as strong, so they make it out of this lightweight stuff.
There you go, yeah.
Engineering being led by nature, isn't it? Honeycomb.
Look at this though. You can see the thickness. It's so thin. It's like that.
Some 747 flight decks are spared demolition to be used as the shell in the construction of flight simulators.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, this is a bit different.
It's like a relic, isn't it? Look at that.
This is proper kind of aviation history, how it all used to be. All these controls here is where flight engineer would have sat when you needed one. Obviously on Victor X-Ray, that's gone now.
The remaining carcass of a 747 like this still has a recycling value worth up to £35,000. And although it's no longer pure enough to be used again in aircraft construction, as recycled aluminium, it does get to live another day. Once they've separated out the aluminium, it'll be sent away, smelted down and recycled, meaning what was once a fuselage of a 747 could be your next fizzy drink.
Or even the frame of a bicycle.
We're on our way back to Cardiff, where Victor X-Ray should now have been given a new lease of life.
Last time.
Last time indeed.
It's heading out.
Tomorrow evening, it's due to head back into service.
There it is, Victor X-Ray. Completely different, it's all back in. It does smell new.
It does smell new.
Last time I was here, this was all completely open.
Yeah.
It's all on again, the screens are running, good.
Since arriving 5 weeks ago, engineers have replaced over 5,000 separate parts, including 11 brand new toilets. 386 square metres of new carpet has been fitted, along with 285 refurbished seats. And there are 14 brand new first-class seats for passengers paying upwards of £5,000 a flight for the luxury.
Wow. Oh, wow. Hey. Oh.
Oh. It's mad to think it does all this and it flies.
In just over 24 hours' time, these seats should be occupied by paying customers en route to South America. So now, for the first time in 5 weeks, Victor X-Ray is towed from the hangar for the final critical tests that need to be carried out to ensure all the parts of the aircraft, including its 4 engines, are working. For Hugh Gibbs, this is the only occasion when an engineer gets to power up a 747 for real.
So will we be moving anywhere when you put it up to almost maximum thrust?
No, we've got the brakes on, and we can't do more than one engine at full power at a time. We have to do them one at a time.
Really? So if you have all 4, we'd be taken off through the middle of Cardiff Airport?
Yeah. Request permission to carry out a high power ground run. Okay, going up on 1 and 4.
The sensation of being here right now is kind of what you get when you hit turbulence mid-flight, but yet we're here on the runway sat outside Cardiff Airport. It's just awesome, the power of these things. That was a brilliant fun experience for me, Hugh, but from a technical perspective, how did it go?
All went well. We had no problems at all. Got the high power, it was lovely and smooth. And it passed all the tests that we needed to do. So.
And does running those engines up to throttle like that get any less exciting any time?
No, I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I still love it.
The following day, and on time, Victor X-Ray is ready to bid farewell to Cardiff. For the engineers, this is the moment when all the hard work pays off.
Quite rewarding, job ownership, especially if you've been on it from start to finish and you think, you look back, I've done that, works, and when you see it barreling down the runway as well, 140, 150 knots, you think, I did them, boxer.
I've been in the industry of 20 years, and you'll never lose that pride and that feeling inside that, you've been part of producing that product and keeping it safe. And obviously knowing that when the aircraft returns to Heathrow, the customer is then sitting on that aircraft and you've done your job well.
After 5 weeks, over 30,000 working hours, and 12,000 separate jobs, Victor X-Ray is ready once again to take to the skies. And for the engineering team, who have painstakingly stripped the aircraft down and built it back up again, there's the satisfaction of knowing it works.
James May has some things you need to know here on BBC HD this evening at 10. But first, we're driving one of the world's most dangerous roads. Next.